Welcome back to the Crochet Cradles. Those my friends over at yarnspirations.com. This is video number 2 of this series. We are going to work on mandala number 7. So we started off with number 1. This is number 7. So this is the second one. So number 7 is slightly different and it's actually done like number 1 with a couple exceptions of placing some stitch markers so that we can do it. So you'll use a 5.5mm size eye crochet hook and continue to use your Super Saver. So let's move on over to number 7. And it is right here on page number 2. So you will see in the instructions it's just like number 1. The only difference that we have is that the color sequence has been changed. But in round number 4 we have to place some stitch markers. So we're going to be able to follow this along. So what I would like you to do is that we have video number 1 already showcasing this on just the single crochet rounds. So what I'm going to do is I'll get yourself started and then I'm going to rely on you to follow these sequence. If you've done video 1 you can actually do this one as well. So if you haven't done video number 1 has the step-by-step of all of the instructions up until row 16, which this one is also doing. It's just a difference of the color changing. That's all. So let's begin this one. In the diagram here that is downloadable on the crochetcrowd.com, follow the link in the more information of this video in the video description. So we're gonna be doing number 7. So these are all the blue ones that you can see. They have like pie shapes that are involved and we'll be working on those today. So you see that one for each of them has a different color breakdown that we're going to be doing. So they're all single crochet rounds just like they had been before, but the difference is just the color and then how we're going to apply the surface overlay at the end. So let's continue this and let's move on to the beginning round. So let's begin with the slip knot. The color white here is the strategy for this whole thing. So even though it looks really random, the white has been positioned in a place that it makes sense for the whole thing, so everything comes together. You're going to chain your 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and then insert your hook into the very beginning one to form the center ring. And then we'll begin round number 1, still continuing with the color A, which is this color. So just like before we're going to just chain up 1 and we're going to apply a single crochet into the middle and then you're going to chain 2 and then a single crochet, and you want to do that so that you can see the 6 spokes again. So chain 2 and then a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So you should be able to count the number of single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At the end you're going to just chain 2 and then just slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet to finish. This color is technically done, so I'm going to turn it over and I'm gonna show you how to weave in your ends just one time in this video today. To weave in the ends you're just gonna cut a longer strand than normal and then just use that as a tapestry. So pull it through, just meaning grabbing a tapestry hook and just feeding it through. So if you want to figure out other ways to hide in your yarn you can. So just on the back side just glide it through the back side of the fibers and go once and twice and 3 times is a charm. So you may want to do that. You're gonna have a lot of loose ends in this particular project, so that you might want to take care of those as you go instead of having a nightmare at the end. And get rid of your starting one. If that's not been secured already, make sure you secure it. And let's move on to round number 2. In round number 2 we're just gonna start. I am randomizing my colors just so that you're aware of that. So looking at the right side of the project you're gonna go into any chain 2 space and you are going to apply. So I'm gonna tell you to do a standing single crochet because it looks nicer. So going in to the stitch, pulling it through, you'll have 2 loops, pull through 2, and that's a standing single crochet. So that's instead of joining it, chain 1 and single crochet, you can do it all in one sweep. Chain 2 and in the same one I want you to apply 1 single crochet. So there's a new corner. So moving on to the next chain 2 space, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, so to keep doing that all the way around, this is round number 2. So once you're all the way around you're just going to slip stitch to the beginning standing single crochet and that'll complete that. So in this particular one, in motif number 1 we kept doing things in groups of 2. So we kept making 2 rounds the same color. In this one we're not gonna be doing that. So we're going to just fasten this off and move on to round number 3 and we'll be getting that story. So you already know how to fasten off, so please do so. So round number 3 new color is going into play, and I want you to do a standing single crochet just like we had done in motif number 1 into a chain 2 space and then chain 2. So this is going to be the repeat for the whole thing. Okay, so you're going to single crochet into the same one, so you'll have your corner. So you're always going to skip the first one out, and then you're going to go to the second and single crochet, and then you'll hit another corner. So as this gets bigger, as you noticed in video number 1, is that the span between the corners will get bigger. So the corner has been done, so single crochet, chain 2, single. So skip the first one out, go to the second, and I want you to do this all the way around. So this will be round number 3, and then round number 4 we're going to change the equation a little bit compared to the first video that we worked through. So let's do that next. So finishing up number 3, just slip stitching, and then let's get rid of this color and move on to round number 4, which is going to be the same color as B, which will be, in my case, it'll be this orange. Fasten off and meet me back here, and this is where we'll change the equation. To move on to the next part, you're going to need 6 stitch markers. So I just use spare yarn. It says to use red as a stitch marker, so that we'll do that. We might as well follow the instructions because they know better. So we'll begin to do that in just a second. So let's begin round number 4 using the color B. In my case it'll be orange. So we're going to start off your corner as you already know it. So I'm just getting my slip knot in, go into a corner, do a standing single as always, and then chain 2 and single crochet. So it says in the instructions that you're going to put in a stitch marker on the 3rd single crochet that follows each corner. So you're still skipping the first one here, and you're going to go to the second, okay, and then you go to the next one. This is technically the 3rd stitch. Okay, so you see this is the corner. So this is 1, 2, 3, and then you'll do a corner. So then it's single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So it says to put the stitch marker in the 3rd stitch from the corner. So we'll do that one, and we'll do this all the way around. Okay, and if you look at it, do you see that? It's actually right directly in the middle. Interesting. Okay, so skip the first one out. Okay, and so this is considered the 1, so skipping to the next and the next, this is the 3rd one, and then you'll do your corner. So I would do a side first. You can actually do all the way around if you actually can see it, which I would probably do in my case. Just put on all your stitch markers later. So stitch mark this all up. This is round number 4, and you'll fasten off this color and move them back to the color C, which in my case will be green. Do this round. This is number 4. So coming all the way to the end of number 4, I'm just going to join. As I told you, if it was me and you weren't watching me, I'm going to go back and you're going to fasten this off, and I'm going to go back and mark all the ones that I need to with the stitch marker. It makes sense to kind of do it at the end because you kind of know what you're looking for, hopefully. So please get ready for round number 5. We're going to talk about that, and then we will do the next few rounds on your own, and then I'll meet you on number 8. But let me do this first, and I'll be right back in a second. So all my stitch markers are in. So I want you to do rounds number 5, 6, and 7, and then I'll meet you up on number 8, and 8 is going to be where we're going to place more stitch markers. So it's exactly what you already know. You're just going to join to a corner, standing single, chain 2, and then single crochet in. You're going to skip the first one out of the corner, and then you're just going to single crochet the rest, and then you'll end up in the new corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So the span will get bigger and bigger, and I want you to do this for rounds number 5, 6, and 7, and then I'll meet you back here in just a moment as we start round number 8. So the rounds are all identical to each other as far as like the stitch counting. It's just they're getting bigger as they go. So let's see you here on round number 8 in just a moment. I'm preparing for round number 8. So it says to use blue stitch markers, but I don't have blue. I just got purple here, so I'm just going to use that. So I'm going to get ready now for round number 8 using color B. So you'll see the striping effect is happening. So let's get ready for round number 8. So round number 8, let's just join to the corners. We already know it. Standing single, chain 2, and single crochet. Now it states in the pattern that we are going to place a blue stitch marker in the 5th single crochet following the corner. So this is considered 1. It's in the corner. We're skipping the next one, which we're always doing. So this will be considered 2, 3, 4 and 5. So in the fifth one here, this is where the stitch marker is going to go. So you can determine if you're going to put the stitch markers in as you go, or you can wait to the end. It's up to you. You'll be able to see that as well at the end, which I probably will do. And then you'll carry on your story right to the other side of the corner. Okay, so we're doing our corner. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So you'll see it's right in the center. So you got the 1, 2, 3, 4, right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So the fifth one is the right one, and I want you to carry on around just as you know it and place your stitch marker in. This is round number 8. So I'm finishing up round number 8 and I'm just going to join it. I did place the stitch markers as I went. I thought it might have been easier this time around because it's getting bigger. So I want to now move on to rounds number 9 and 10. So I want you to do that on your own. So you do the color sequence. Again, it will be green and then it'll be orange again. I'll meet you up around 11 now and we'll place in some more stitch markers as well. So let's get and do that, and this is going to move on to round number 11 in just a moment. So moving on to round number 11, what we have here is that I'm ready to go. So the stitch marker here, this is considered the blue one even though it's purple. What we're doing is that we're marking out these triangle spots here, if it's easier to see it depending which one you're looking at. So this one here is going to be the smaller one in the middle and this is the bigger one. So we'll be dealing with this one later. But in round number 11 that we're about to do, I'm gonna show you a little tip that I can use by using this longer stitch marker. This is kind of a fluke but it worked out, and let me show you what to do for round number 11. So in round number 11 we're just going to join and then chain 2. And so this will be the second one that's going into the corner is considered number 1. So we have to locate row number 5 and number 8. So if this is number 1, we'll skip 1, we go to the second. So this is number 2, 3, 4 and 5. And now that's the fifth one. So what I want you to do is take this stitch marker here and pull it through. Don't pull it all the way, just let it so it lays over. Okay, so that's 5. The next one is 6, 7 and 8, and there's the 8th one. So take this hook and go into the 8th one and grab that same one and pull it back through. And what we've just located is where this triangle is starting, where it comes over and where it comes back. Okay, so now you're going to finish the remaining of this going to the corner. Okay, so then you'll turn your corner. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So this second single crochet that went in there is considered 1. So then you'll jump over. So this is 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pull that stitch marker up. So that's 5. The next one is 6, 7 and 8. So if that's the 8, go to the back and pull it through. And I want you to do this all the way around for round number 11, and you're using the same stitch marker to indicate all your spots so you can locate that triangle. I'll see you at the end of round number 11. So I'm finishing up this round number 11. So we're gonna switch our colors and we'll move back to the orange or whatever color you're using. For round number 12 it's what you already know, so just go round number 12 and then we'll meet back up on 13 in a second where we will continue with our stitch marker placement, and I'll be back in just a moment. So please do round number 12 next. So round number 13 we're going to then get the bigger triangle for the stitch marker, and I would do the same thing with the red that you just did with the green as well. So just join it and then chain 2 and then put another single crochet in there. So that second single crochet is considered 1. So moving along you're going to then put in your single crochet. So you're gonna mark the third one. So if this is considered 1, you're skipping over that one as normal. So this is 2 and 3. So this is the third one. So grabbing that red one that's down here, if you've left it long enough, I don't know if I have, but I was a little generous when I was cutting it. So I'm gonna pull that through. So that's the third one, and then we're gonna carry on and count. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. That's the 12th one, and that's where it says to mark it. Okay, so we're gonna do there. And then I'm just gonna grab that red one from behind and pull it forward, and now I have the 2 marked there. And then I go into a corner as my next one. So single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. The second single crochet is considered 1. Skipping the first one out, this is 2, and this is the 3rd one. So just following it straight down. Now the person that gave me some advice online said that they didn't bother to do the stitch markers. They could tell, but if it's something that you may want to do the first one so you have an idea what you're doing, that might be an indication too. So if that was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this is the 12th. So stitch mark that one. And then carry on into the corner next. Okay, so do this all the way around. This is round number 13, and then the rest of the rounds are all easy. They're just, there's no more stitch marking to do, and we'll carry on from that point once we're all the way around. So right now I've just finished off round number 13. I need you now to do round number 14 and 15, so it's just changing these colors back and forth, and then round number 16 is the final round using back the color A. So when we do the surface overlay, when we're going back and forth on this thing, it's going to blend. Also when it attaches to its neighbor, the white is also going to blend in there, so the exterior white is actually making sense so that it will join. So what I want you to do, please, is do round number 14, 15, and 16 using the color sequence that is suggested, and then I'll meet you back here and we'll start our surface overlay fun. And let's begin to do that in just a moment. So I'm now back and I have up to round number 16. So 16 here is white so that it can join to the other one with the seamless join as you're doing it like this. So now I have to apply the surface overlay. So let's take a closer look at the actual project itself, because the way that that surface overlay for this style is different from the way that we did it here, but it's the same technique, it's just a different path to follow. If you look carefully at this particular motif, you're going to notice that there is triangles. So you'll see that there is 3 triangles in this section, 1, 2, and 3, but this section there's only 2. So what you can do, and I'm a kind of a lazy crocheter, so what I would do, this big triangle right here, I would follow it around, but don't cut my yarn, and just follow the next one and then follow it here. So do this big one first. The 2 other little middle ones you can do afterward, and you'll want to secure in the yarn. So I would do the big one first and get that done, and then you have everything framed, and then you'll be ready to go then for the next one. So I'll show you how to do that first, and then I'll show you how to do these little mini triangles, and then I'm gonna leave the rest for you today. So let's begin to do surface overlay doing that big section first. So let's do our surface overlay. Let's do the big triangle. So there's technically 3 big ones. So I want to go in here and follow it and come back, and I'm going to jump over, and then I'm going to do here and come back, and there will be 3 sets of then triangles. So to start here, I want to create a large strand here, and I want to go in from behind, and I want to go right from the middle one here, and I'm just going to turn it over and loop that through. So don't create a slip knot on that first, because you'll have an issue with the way it will look on the front end. So the yarn is coming from the back. So in behind, I'm going to put the yarn onto my hand as if I'm crocheting, even though the yarn is in behind. And the way that I'm gonna wiggle my hook is that I'm going to grab onto that strand from behind. So once you get good enough at this, you won't be able to turn, you won't have to turn it around. So I want to follow the chain 2 space. Don't go up over top of these stitch markers, and I want to follow the chain 2 space up into the point. So just keep following it up like that. So just yarn over from behind and pull through. This is a slip stitch, and you're gonna go in the next one. The first one is gonna be loose because there's no knots, and we're gonna secure that later. So you'll jump into the next chain 2 space, yarn over, and pull through. Be consistent about the distance of your stitches, and you're going to go all the way up into close to that white section up there. So please do that, and I will meet you up there in just a moment. So now that I followed up, see how even that looks? I want to turn, and I'm just going to jump in between the stitches. So right here I'm just going to jump here, and I'm gonna work my way across to the other chain 2 space, and then I'm gonna go back toward the center once again. So I want you to meet me here in just a moment. So I'm right here, and I'm about to now turn, and I'm going to go into the space that is gonna lead back toward the center. Okay, so grabbing the yarn from behind. It gets a little bit awkward, but just kind of reposition your hands and then work your way back towards the center of your motif. And I'll see you back there. Just keep your consistency of the distance of how big your stitches are. So I'll see you at the middle once again, and I'll show you how to progress along without having to fasten off, and I'll see you there in a moment. So I'm now heading back into the middle again. So you can either fasten off if you want to and start fresh, or you can keep going towards to doing the next. So if it were me, I'm not being lazy, I'm just being smart or practical about it. So I have to now jump over, and I have to get to this section here. So I'm going to come on out and then over and then back down. So just how I showed you. So all I'm just going to do is that I'm gonna come into the center. So I'm gonna go right to the center so I can get a good restart of the slip stitching. And it would be better if I could actually grab the right yarn. So I'm gonna turn it over to take a peek. Okay, so I'm back in the center once again. And now I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go up this next piece right here. So I'm just gonna immediately jump to the next chain 2 space up here, and I'll show you how to finish this round off as well so that it looks even all the way around. Okay, so then once you get that done, you can just zoom on the way out and then turn up and then come across and then back in. So I'm gonna leave this for you, and then I'll see you back here in just a moment, and we'll do the other little triangles as well. So I've now officially gone all the way around. So you can see I went up, over, down, and then I jumped over. So look at this one here, it's loose. So that's the very first one that we started with. So I want to cut this strand leading to the yarn ball a little bit longer than normal, and I want to pull up to this. So I'm on the good side. I want to be able to secure this to the other one that's there. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to wrap around the big one here, and we'll pull that tight in a bit, and we're gonna go around it, and the one that I'm currently in, I want to go down through the middle of it, straight down into the other side of the project, and we're gonna turn it over. So I'm going to secure this loose end on the back side, any loose ends of this color, and in order to do that, it's like what I showed you in the beginning on round number 2, or sorry, round number 1 or 2. And I'm just going to stay on the back, and I'm going to weave it in and out a total of 3 times. But we still have that starting strand to worry about, so we also have to do that one as well. So go back and forth 3 times here. And I'm going to put the other one that is on hanging out. I'm gonna put that on my tapestry needle. And before we pull on it, I want you to turn it over so you can visually see it. And when you pull, it should make it look like they're all, I've actually already pulled it by accident, but my point being is that they all should look similar. So now just weaving on this side, back and forth a total of 3 times to secure that in. So once, twice, and 3 times is a charm. So what I'm going to do for you at this moment is that those 2 other triangles that we have to pay attention to, I want to be able to do a couple on my own just to make sure I understand what I'm doing, and I'm gonna be right back. I'll have one done, and then I'll have more concrete advice to give you to be able to show you the next part of the process. So I'll be right back in just a few minutes. Okay, so I've just did one on my own. It's not as hard as I thought it would be, actually, to be honest with you. I did leave in my stitch markers just for your benefit, but as I would pass them, if it were me and you weren't watching me, I would literally pull them out so that it's easier to as I pass them, then I don't have to worry about passing over those. So what I want to do is that I want to start in any section that you would like to start in, and it's like before, we're going to create a large tail and see where it's coming out of right there. I want to come into the one that's just right below it to loop that yarn through. So there's no slip knot, and my first stitch is going to be in the one with the stitch marker. If you follow that line up, you're going to notice that it's the same stitch count from the side of it. So if you see how it looks there, so if I follow that line up, and you don't gotta follow the line, but just notice that it's 2 stitches away from the edge. If you just follow 2 stitches up from the edge, you can go all the way up to where that is stopping, and then that's where you're going to cross over to go across and then back down the other side. So I'm just maintaining 2 stitches across. Do you see that? And really the goal is to get that slip stitching to be consistent in the distance. So the red one is going to be the last one, and then we're gonna turn. So we're gonna go across this row, just go on the sides of the post. So the middle one is done the same way. It's just, you're just gonna look for where it looks consistent. It's obviously a lot smaller. So the last one is going to be right here. Noticing it's about 2 in from this side. So when I jump down, I'm going to jump down so that there's 2 in there, and I'm gonna turn it so it's easier. It's easier for me to work forward. Of course you can secure all your loose ends later. I'm going to show you how to finish this off as well, as far as like once we're done all the way around, just to make sure it looks good. And so I find myself, I'm just counting over, so just stay within the 2. I feel like I wanna cut it off and not do it like that, but you wanna be consistent. So 1, 2, and that should take you all the way back down. So you're gonna do the middle triangle the same way. It's obviously not as big. And this should take you all the way back to where you started. So 1, 2, 2. When I get all the way back, I want to trim this yarn to keep a long tail, and I want to pull it up through the front. So you'll notice that they're not joined yet. Throw a tapestry needle through that strand. Now that it's been pulled up through, I want you to go around the 2 pieces and then go down this one. Okay, so you're gonna go down into this one to the back side. And watch what happens. It's gonna not keep it aligned. You see how it doesn't look aligned? So you're gonna come back on the opposite side. So just right beside it, not in the middle, just on the side here, and you're gonna go back into this one here. And that's gonna pull that point back down so that you have a point. And you're gonna do that on the small one too. See? Done. On the back side here, you're gonna have a lot of stitch markers, so I would take out the ones that you're done working with, and I would just run these strands through the same stitches. So just going around the white. And the reason why I'm doing that is that if this afghan gets turned over, then you won't see really terrible stitching. You'll notice it, but it won't be like terrible. And you're gonna go back and forth a total of 3 times. So I'm gonna put that back in the in there, and then the starting one, you also want to secure that because that'll fall out. And again, just maybe down the other side. So just looping around, capturing all that, and then back and forth a total of 3 times as well. So that's how what you would do, and then the small triangles done the same way. So let me just get my third one done. I just gotta put that one in a third time. So the other one, then we're going to start here. So you go down here to pull it through, and then this will be the first one that you loop around. You'll notice the line. So maintain that, and then come across and then back down, and then finish it off the same way. So this will be how you do that, and meet back here in just a moment. We'll recap, and then that's it for today. So now I have this one done. If I were you and you were me, now that I've done this with the stitch markers, I would do the rest of the 5 without the stitch markers, because I can actually see where to go. I just have to look for the chain 2 spaces. I just have to, maybe I would mark the first one just because I can, and then I can see that there's 2 stitches that are missed, and then I carry it up and go across and then back down, and then etc. here. So that's something I would consider for myself, because that's fine. I would also consider doing all of these at the same time without doing the surface overlay. Put them off to the side and then do all your surface overlay at the end. I would then, if it were me and I were you, I would then weave in all my ends at the same time at the back. So I would do all the surface overlay and then weave in my ends all at the same time. So that's what I would do instead of having a flip, 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 flip. So this is the 7th hexagon. So this was number 1. This is the 7th. You'll need a total of 6 of these. And it seems like those striping, when we did all the striping, when you really saw it, you can actually really see it here, but the surface overlay really kind of breaks it up into being really more unique. I would also then finally I would steam block all my hexagons as well, or just damp block it, let it lay flat. This one has been blocked on this one over here, and then when you're ready to join, you'll just do an invisible join just like that. So that's something to consider, and next time I see you, we'll move on to the third one, which will be number 13, and you'll do 6 of those as well.